I found a twist I never saw coming. My wife cheated with her boss, then secretly forged my signature to transfer $300, $0 from our joint account to his shell company. Now she's claiming the house and suing me for half the inheritance we never knew she was hiding. Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons, with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about how my wife betrayed me in the worst way possible. The craziest part, it all started with something I didn't even suspect, until I stumbled across a pile of lies I couldn't ignore. Honestly, I wish I could say I saw it coming, but I didn't. I was knocked out cold by a series of events that unraveled faster than I could catch my breath. It all began about 3 months ago. Had been acting weird, secretive, distant. She'd come home late from work more often, but when I asked, she'd brush me off with that bitchy smile. That made me want to punch her. It's just work stress, she'd say, rolling her eyes. But the thing is, she's always been the type to hide things, so I didn't push too hard. Still, I noticed she was more defensive than usual and her phone never left her side. She'd lock it when I entered the room, even during dinner. At first, I thought maybe she was just stressed about her job at that fashion company. She's a marketing exec, always busy, always moving. But then I started noticing small things. Her phone bill had strange numbers I didn't recognize, and she started changing her schedule without telling me. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured maybe she was having an affair or something, but I didn't have proof. Just gut feelings. Then one night I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling well. As I walked in, I saw her sitting on the couch, texting rapidly, her face flushed. I didn't think much of it. Maybe she was chatting with her friends, but something in her eyes told me otherwise. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I just watched her for a moment. That's when I saw the name on her screen, Jake. My stomach dropped. Jake was her boss, a guy she'd always been friendly with but never really talked about much. I'd heard whispers at her office that they'd been getting closer, but she'd always it. Now, staring at that message, I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. She quickly closed her phone when I entered, her face suddenly cold and defensive. I asked her about it and she just shrugged, calling me paranoid. It's just work stuff, she snapped. But I knew better. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment, wondering what I missed, what I didn't want to see. A few days later, I decided to check her phone again, something I normally wouldn't do, but I felt uneasy. I found more than just flirty texts. There were messages about secret meetings, plans to meet after hours, and even photos of her and Jake together, smiling like they were the only two people in the world. That's when I saw a text that made my blood run cold. Can't wait to see you tonight. I have a surprise for you. I couldn't believe it. My wife was cheating on me with her boss, Jake. Not only that, but the level of deception went way beyond what I expected. She was sneaking around, lying constantly, and apparently they'd been doing this for months. I felt numb, like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe I married someone who'd lie so easily, who'd betray me so coldly. The worst part, she was acting like I was the crazy one whenever I confronted her. That's how I found out, by chance, really. I'd never suspected she'd be capable of cheating, and I definitely didn't expect her to be this manipulative. But there it was, plain as day. My wife was screwing her boss behind my back, and she'd been doing it for a long time. The betrayal cut deep, and I knew this was just the beginning of a long, dark road I'd have to walk. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at my phone, at those texts, trying to make sense of what I'd just uncovered. It felt like my world was crumbling, piece by piece. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how. I didn't see her lying right in front of me. Had always been bitchy, yes, but I never thought she'd sink so low, cheating, lying, forging my signature to transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's when I realized this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about betrayal on a scale I never anticipated. The next morning, I decided I had to confront her. I was furious, hurt, confused, all at once. I found her in the kitchen, drinking her coffee, pretending everything was normal. Face lit up when she saw me, that fake smile she always wore when she was trying to hide something. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. I said, voice trembling slightly, I know what you did. She looked at me, that icy stare of hers. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. I saw the text, the ones with Jake, the secret meetings, the money transfer, the forged signature. Her eyes widened for a split second, then she recovered. You're overreacting, Brad. You're crazy. You're making things up in your head. I shook my head. No, I found everything. The bank statements, the transfer receipts, the forged signature. You stole from us. You transferred $300, $0 from our joint account to some shell company you set up. How could you? She scoffed, crossing her arms. You don't understand. That money was mine too. I needed it for a project, for a business I was starting. You're just paranoid. You always think I'm cheating when I'm busy at work. I stared at her, feeling my blood boil. That's bullshit. You forged my signature. You lied to me. And you've been screwing your boss behind my back. Her face twisted into a sneer. Look, Brad, I don't owe you an explanation. You're just jealous because I'm successful, because I have a life you can't keep up with. Jake, been good to me. I don't see what the big deal is. I couldn't believe her. She was spinning this lie so fast, so convincingly. I felt my fists clench. How could she lie so effortlessly? I had trusted her for years, built a life with her, and now I was realizing it was all based on her lies. I told her I was going to get proof, that I was going to find out the truth. Her response: she told me I was overreacting, that I was being irrational. She said I was crazy for accusing her of cheating, but I knew better. I had seen the evidence with my own eyes. That confrontation was just the beginning. From that point on, everything changed. His attitude shifted from defensive to outright hostile. She started calling me paranoid, gaslighting me, telling me I was losing my mind. Meanwhile, she kept up her lies, pretending everything was fine. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare, unsure of what was real and what was just her manipulation. The emotional toll was intense. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face, cheat on me, steal from us, and then try to make me doubt my own sanity? I was torn between wanting to believe she'd change and knowing deep down that she was just playing me. I felt like I was losing control of my own life, and I didn't know how to fix it. All I knew was that I had to find out the full extent of her deception, and I was about to do just that. After that initial confrontation, I knew I couldn't just sit back and let her keep lying. I started digging into everything I could find: bank statements, emails, her phone, even her social media accounts. I needed to get to the bottom of how deep this betrayal went. The more I uncovered, the more I realized had been planning this for months, maybe longer. She forged my signature on documents I didn't even know existed, transferred hundreds of thousands into some shell company she'd set up with Jake, her boss. It was like a criminal operation, and I was the unwitting victim. I started to piece together how she managed to pull it off. She'd been sneaking around, meeting Jake after hours, then coming home pretending everything was normal. Meanwhile, she was draining our savings, hiding money, and forging my signature on bank documents. I found emails where she discussed the transfer, talking about how she'd cover her tracks and make sure I never find out. That's when I realized I'd been played for a fool. She lied about everything: her success, her independence, even her love. It was all a sham. One day, I decided to go to the bank with the documents I'd collected. I wanted to see if I could get concrete proof of the transfer and the forged signature. When I showed the bank manager the forged document, her face went pale. She confirmed that the signature didn't match mine and that the transfer was suspicious. That was my first real proof that had gone rogue, stealing from us and lying through her teeth. I also hired a private investigator, someone who could track her movements and confirm my suspicions. It was painful, but I had to be sure. The PI found her meeting Jake at a hotel downtown late at night. They were kissing, holding hands, completely oblivious to the world. Seeing those photos broke me. My wife, my partner, was cheating on me right in front of my eyes. And not just that, she was actively stealing from us to fund her affair. Meanwhile, kept denying everything. She insisted she loved me, that she was just stressed at work, that I was overreacting. She'd cry, call me paranoid, say I was just jealous. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw the evidence. and I knew she was lying. Still, she kept trying to manipulate me, telling me I was crazy, that I didn't understand her, that I was ruining everything because I was insecure. That's when I realized I was dealing with someone who was a master at gaslighting. She was twisting the truth to make herself look innocent, while secretly destroying everything we had. The emotional was brutal. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry. I trusted her for so long, and now I saw her for what she really was: a liar, a thief, and a cheat. Every time I thought I was getting closer to the truth, she'd throw out another excuse, another lie, trying to keep me from seeing reality. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. All I could do was focus on exposing her lies and figuring out what to do next. The most shocking part: I discovered she'd even hidden an inheritance from her family, something she'd kept secret from me. It was enough money to buy a new house, and she was claiming half of it now, trying to take what didn't belong to her. That's when I knew this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about her trying to manipulate and control everything, even the money that was supposed to be ours. I was furious, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I knew I had to take action, protect what was left of my life, and stop her from tearing everything apart. I didn't know exactly what the future held, but I was certain of one thing: I wasn't going down without a fight. By the time I had enough proof, bank documents, the hotel photos, the forged signature, I knew I had to do something drastic. Wasn't just cheating on me. She was actively trying to take everything from me, from our joint savings to the inheritance I had no idea she was even hiding. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, and now I was in full panic mode, trying to figure out my next move. That's when I decided I needed legal help, someone who knew how to handle a situation like this. I contacted a lawyer specializing in financial crimes and divorce. The moment I laid out everything, the forged signatures, the stolen money, the affair, she told me I had a solid case for fraud and infidelity. She explained that I could potentially sue for the money she transferred illegally and also seek full custody or at least a fair settlement, especially since she was trying to claim parts of the inheritance that I wasn't even aware of. The thought of losing my house, my savings, or even being in court made me sick. Meanwhile, I couldn't keep it together. Every day was of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. How could she do this? How could she lie so easily? She'd always been a bitchy, manipulative woman, but this was next level. She lied about everything, and now she was trying to take what wasn't hers to begin with. I was furious that she'd forged my signature, that she'd planned this whole thing behind my back, all to feed her affair with Jake. I confronted her again, this time with my lawyer on the line, just to see her reaction. She spun a new story, said she was under pressure, that she'd only taken the money to save the business, and that Jake was just a friend. She cried, told me I was paranoid, that I didn't understand her ambitions. But I wasn't buying her lies anymore. I knew she was lying because I had the evidence. I told her she was a liar and a thief, and that I was done trusting her. That's when she got angry, yelled at me, called me jealous and insecure, and accused me of trying to ruin her life. But I didn't care about her excuses anymore. I was more focused on protecting myself and my assets. I started gathering everything I could: bank statements, emails, recordings of her voice, everything that could help in court. I also made sure to document her meetings with Jake, the hotel rendezvous, and her attempts to hide her real financial situation. It was painful, but I knew I had to do it to get justice. The emotional toll was overwhelming. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry all at once. I kept asking myself how someone I loved could turn into a criminal, how she could lie to my face and manipulate me so easily. I kept replaying the moments when I trusted her, when I thought we had a good life. Now, that trust was shattered into a million pieces. I felt like I was losing my mind, wondering if I'd ever recover from this. As I prepared for what I knew would be a long legal battle, I also started thinking about what I wanted my life to look like afterward. I realized I'd been living in a fantasy, believing that was everything she pretended to be. Now, I saw her for what she really was: a manipulative, selfish woman who'd do anything to get her way, even if it meant destroying me in the process. I decided I was going to fight for what was rightfully mine, no matter how hard it got, because I deserved better. I had to rebuild my life from this mess, but I knew I couldn't do it with her anymore. The only way forward was to cut her out completely and start over. The legal process moved faster than I expected once I handed everything over to my lawyer. She filed for an injunction to freeze all the accounts and prevent from transferring or hiding any more money. Then we filed the lawsuit for fraud, breach of contract, and asked for full custody of the house, which I wanted to keep because it was our home, built with my hard-earned money. The part that hit me hardest was the inheritance. She was claiming half of that, too, even though I had no idea she was entitled to any of it. I knew she'd been hiding her true wealth from me, and now I was fighting to take it back. Of course, didn't take it lying down. She hired her own lawyer, and the court battles began. She started claiming I was an unstable, jealous husband who was trying to destroy her reputation. She threw in a bunch of lies, saying I was abusive and controlling, things that couldn't be further from the truth. Her main goal seemed to be to paint herself as the victim, to sway the court's opinion. She even accused me of trying to sabotage her career, which was laughable. Throughout all this, I was consumed with a mixture of rage and sadness. I'd trusted her for so long, believed she loved me, and now I was fighting to keep what was left of my life. I couldn't help but feel betrayed, not only because she cheated and stole from me, but because she lied about everything, even to herself. Every day I'd wake up and wonder how I'd let things get so bad. How did I miss all the signs? How did I end up with someone so manipulative? I kept asking myself if I was blind or just too trusting. The courtroom wasn't a fun place. Lawyers tried everything to discredit me, questioning my mental stability, suggesting I was paranoid, trying to paint me as an unfit husband. But I had all the evidence. The forged signatures, the emails, the photos. I felt confident, even if inside I was crumbling. I knew I had to stand strong because this was about more than just money. It was about justice. I wasn't going to let her walk away with everything she stole, especially not the inheritance I didn't even know she was after. One of the most shocking moments came during the court hearing when the lawyer claimed I was emotionally unstable because I was obsessed with catching her cheating. I wanted to scream. I had all the proof: bank records, private investigator reports, her own texts. How could they try to manipulate the truth? I kept my composure, knowing that honesty and evidence would win in the end. Still, it was a brutal process. Every day I felt like I was fighting a war, trying to hold on to what little stability I had left. Throughout the chaos, I also learned a lot about myself. I realized how much I'd been sacrificing: my trust, my peace of mind, my sense of security. I'd been so blinded by love that I ignored the warning signs. But now I saw clearly. I saw her for what she was, and I was determined to get justice. The hardest part was the emotional toll, seeing her lie, knowing she'd betrayed everything we built, knowing I might lose the house, the inheritance, everything I worked for. But I also knew I couldn't let her win. I had to keep fighting for what was right. In the end, I learned that sometimes the truth is uglier than you ever imagined, and trust can be shattered in an instant. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. No matter how much she tried to manipulate and deceive, I had the truth on my side. And that's what kept me going through all the court hearings, all the lies, and all the heartbreak. The court date finally arrived after months of legal battles, and I remember feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and relief. I sat across from in that sterile courtroom, her face composed but her eyes flickering with that familiar, manipulative glint. I knew she was trying to play her usual game, smiling at the right moments, crying at others, trying to sway the judge with her fake charm. But I had the evidence, and I was ready. When my lawyer presented the bank statements, the forged signatures, and the private investigator's reports, his face faltered for the first time in months. The judge listened carefully, asking detailed questions about the transfer, the signatures, and her financial manipulations. It was clear she was caught off guard, her lies unraveling faster than she could spin them. Her attempt to claim half of the inheritance crumbled under the weight of the truth. The judge ruled in my favor, awarding me full control of the house, the remaining savings, and declaring the transfer of funds illegal. Was ordered to pay back the stolen money, and her claims on the inheritance were dismissed. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Was furious. She yelled, called me names, accused me of ruining her life. But I felt nothing but emptiness and relief. I had finally taken back what was mine, what she tried to steal from me. I filed for divorce, and a few months later it was finalized. She moved out, her lies exposed, her manipulations laid bare for everyone to see. Living without her was hard at first. The house felt cold and empty, and every corner echoed with memories I'd rather forget. But slowly, I started rebuilding. I cut ties with her completely, blocked her from my life, changed my phone number, and focused on healing. I got a new job, started seeing friends again, and even bought a small place of my own. The betrayal had shattered me, but it also made me realize what I truly valued: honesty, trust, and my own peace of mind. Looking back, I realize I learned some hard lessons. Never ignore the small signs: secretive behavior, changing schedules, strange phone habits. Trust your instincts, but also verify everything. People are capable of incredible deception, especially when they're driven by greed or selfishness. And most importantly, never let anyone steal your peace or your money without a fight. Sometimes you have to take a stand, even if it means facing the ugly truth head-on. I don't regret fighting for what's right, even if the process was painful. It taught me that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal and come out the other side. I've learned to be more cautious, more guarded, but also more aware of who I let into my life. And I've come to understand that sometimes the only way to reclaim your life is to cut out the lies and move forward. Now, I focus on rebuilding my life piece by piece with a new perspective. I still feel the sting of betrayal, but I refuse to let it define me. What I've been through has made me more resilient, more cautious, and ultimately more aware of what I deserve. I hope my story serves as a warning. Trust is fragile, but your strength to fight for what's right is even stronger. And no matter how dark things seem, there's always a way to find the light again.